Welcome, everyone, to the League of Cinephiles for our spoiler talk for the newest DCEU summer blockbuster, The Flash. We're going to go through all spoilers, guys, so if you're here, you haven't seen the movie, I recommend you leave, unless you want to hear us recap the movie and everything in it, which would be fine as well, you know, whatever tickles your peach. But my name is Alex Hummer. I'll be your host today. To my right, the only other man who's been to every single spoiler talk within the last couple weeks since we started doing this thing, Luke from Luke Reviews.
Hello, thanks for having me. And this should be a fun discussion, whether we love the movie or hated the movie. It's always fun. Just hope there's no babies in microwaves in our discussion.
I can't say that we don't have that for certain, so we'll see. And to the bottom of him, he's a veteran of the spoiler talks. It's Rod from the Cinema Gallery.
Well, if there are babies in microwaves, I'm going to have to hop off here. I don't want to be associated with any of that. But good to be back. Thanks for having me. Ready to talk some Flash.
And finally, last but not least, we have the chef himself sporting the Flash t-shirt. I would actually choose Nikita over Ezra Miller for the next Flash. So,
I wouldn't mind. Such a fun role to be a part of. But yeah, we're going to have some fun here in the meantime.
For sure, guys. Again, we're going to be talking through all the spoilers, everything, analysis, the reviews for the Flash. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. But in the meantime, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video as well. Thank you, everyone, for being in the live chat as well. As we head on over to our first quick thoughts, I'm going to go to Luke first. Just your initial, just kind of brief review of The Flash.
With the lowered expectations, which James Gunn, David Zaslav, and even Tom Cruise did not help me with, but I was surprised that I did go in positive in the end. I did have fun with it. I don't think it's as bad as some are saying, but I don't think it's as good as some are saying.
Rod.
Yeah, I wasn't really falling for all the hype, even though James Gunn and Tom Cruise and everybody else in Hollywood who saw it, 5 months ago, were saying how great it was. I was sort of like Luke. I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever made or a comic book movie ever made, but I also don't think it's a heaping pile of garbage. It's somewhere in the middle.
Nikita.
Well, I never watched trailers, so I haven't seen a single trailer until after I watched the movie. So I came in completely blind. I didn't care what Tom Cruise or James Gunn or whoever says. I was super excited for The Flash. I like the character. I like DC. And I was super hyped. Yes, unfortunately, it was not, my expectations were not fulfilled. But still, it was a fun movie, which I completely did not hate. It was a nice experience.
Yeah. And then I can go. I think I agree with kind of what all of you said. Not the best, not the worst, just kind of in the middle. And in that sense, a bit disappointed because of what Luke said. I did fall for what everyone else was saying. I wasn't as smart as Rod over here, who was discounting the Cruise and Zaslav. I mean, everyone discounts Zaslav, but whatever. And but James Gunn as well. Yeah, so I had some problems, but this is kind of a hit or miss movie for me. Some parts didn't hit, but some parts really, when they hit, there's some great moments that I'm sure we'll talk about as we head over to our first just kind of subcategory for today, just pros for the movie, stuff we liked, stuff we didn't like. We're going to save that for later. I can go first, stuff I liked. First, the performances. I thought Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton were really good. Ezra Miller specifically playing two versions of himself. And the kind of dichotomy between the two and how they kind of evolved in the film, specifically the other version of him when like the one that was kind of created when he went back in time, and kind of his evolution, specifically kind of as you kind of realize later in the film, he turns into the Dark Flash, which I found very obvious, but that's a discussion for another day.
I thought, well, sure, it's today. Today is the only day for the discussion. Sure.
Shut up. Shut your mouth. Not today. Yeah, so I thought his performance is really good. Probably my favorite. No, not my favorite Ezra Miller performance. We need to talk about Kevin. It's an amazing film. I definitely watched that if you haven't seen that already. But he's really good. And and I liked him a lot more than I did in Justice League, where I was not a fan of his performance at all. So, yes. And then Michael Keaton, though, stole the show for me. I loved Michael Keaton in this movie, which is saying something because I'm not the hugest fan of his Batman in '89 or Batman Returns. But the fact that he did steal the show for me, the fact that kind of as soon as he pops up on screen as kind of an old Last Jedi-esque Batman, I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed kind of his action scene was my favorite scene in the movie, actually, where he's sorry, Nikita, the Soviet soldiers were getting their asses kicked. But you're used to you're used to that. You watch Stranger Things as well. So. But yeah, he was amazing, and he had kind of this rough kind of energy, but he was also just very charming as well. And he kind of it seems like he just picked up the keys to the Batmobile right after kind of 1992 when Batman Returns drops. He didn't really miss a beat for me. So those are my pros. Oh, also General Zod. Love him. Michael Shannon is General Zod. We might talk about him later, but yeah, I loved him. I was actually more excited to see him than Michael Keaton, which is a very unpopular opinion on my end. So he kicked so much ass in this movie, so that was great to see. Those are my pros. Anybody else?
Well, I'll just continue. Well, the first appearance of Michael Keaton was actually in the kitchen. You didn't put the right picture. And
I know, I didn't have that picture.
But that scene was awesome. I like the music, and obviously, I mean, I thought it's Alfred at first. I'm like, okay, what's Alfred doing? But then, yeah, clearly it's the Batman because yeah, he's got the moves, and it was a fun sequence. And overall, yes, Michael Keaton and that sequence in Russia when he's kicking everyone's ass, that was amazing. And what I loved is that he could not have done that in his first Batman movies because the technology did not allow for it. And here clearly has been replaced by some guy and he's just swooping around and it felt like a video game. So that was super cool to watch. Yeah, Ezra Miller was fun as well. Some of the jokes were really stupid, but some were really fun. And also I liked the Supergirl. I was a bit skeptical about her introduction because I hated Birds of Prey and it's the same writer. I thought, here we go again. We're going to get I'm replacing Superman. I'm the best there is. But she actually fit the role. She showed like reverence towards Superman that I'm trying to help and whatnot. We're part of the same family. And she fought bravely. She was nice. And yeah, I would not mind seeing more of her in the future films. Yeah, if they were to reprise her. And I think they will.
Rod?
Yeah, going off Luke. I mean, or not Luke. Nikita, Supergirl was incredible. Sasha Kyle was fantastic in the role. I wasn't as skeptical as Nikita was, but I'm glad that she worked for you, as well as for me. Michael Keaton was great, like you guys were saying. I think the first 20 minutes were probably some of my favorite stuff in the entire film. I really enjoyed that opening action sequence. A lot of fun, a little cheesy, but I was able to. That's a funny picture right there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was great seeing Ben Affleck back in the cowl one more time. So obviously he's probably not going to come back anymore. I liked Ezra Miller. I thought he gave a good emotional performance as our version of Barry. The other version of Barry, I'll get to later. I wasn't the biggest fan of his. As in the beginning, as the film went on, especially in the third act, I was starting to get on board, but a lot of the jokes he was getting, it was really painful for me.
Do you like his laugh?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. I have a lot of issues. I can't get on the Michael Shannon train like you. I can't, but I'll get to that later also. Positives. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this.
Luke?
Yeah, to slightly piggyback off Rod's point about the opening scene there, I just really enjoyed having a movie where the DC universe is established and characters can just show up like your Batman, like your Wonder Woman, and it feels like, oh yeah, this is the world we live in. But then you realize, oh, this is the last movie of this franchise. So I'm just hoping that with the new slate, we can really get that established universe going. I agree. I enjoyed the performances. I thought the movie was quite funny. Especially a few scenes. One of my favorites being when Barry tries to run, but he doesn't have a speed, so he just looks like an idiot.
That was funny.
And yeah, I also enjoyed Sasha Cal. I just wish we got more of her, and I hope she is the Supergirl in the next Supergirl movie. But we never know how that's gonna go. And yeah, the action was good. I enjoyed the slow mo. Not as good as Quicksilver scenes, but it's still good. But yeah, those are the main positives, I think, and it was quite fun overall. Just and the very last cameo, I especially enjoyed that.
Yes, we'll get to this.
I
also want to get
which of them. Yeah,
we'll get to that. Sorry, Rod, you want to say something?
Yeah, that's also everything with Barry and his mom. all that stuff too. I really dug out
Yes.
some really good emotional beats.
I concur. Yeah, it's the saddest I've been about a can of tomatoes. Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the tomatoes. I'm gonna get to that later. Okay, so first of all, also the score from Benjamin Wallfish. I've never heard of this composer before. Apparently, he did Blade Runner 2049, the It movies as well. So that pedigree alone. But his score was top notch here. I honestly thought it was Danny Elfman. I had to check afterwards to like obviously Danny Elfman's kind of original score was used obviously for 89 and stuff like that. But also the fact that he was able to kind of cater his score to the modern day while also paying tribute to kind of that era. It felt like a kind of 80s, 90s superhero movie for the better or for the worse. And I had a lot of fun with it. Also, piggybacking off of Rod, Ben Affleck, that action scene was so good. The picture I pulled up, the one where he's kind of sliding on the highway almost. Is the scene cheesy? Yeah, you're having like a bad guy stealing a world, like a disastrous poison gas or whatever, which is, yeah, whatever. But the action scene was great. And it was nice seeing Ben Affleck, his best action scene, I feel like, since BVS, the famous warehouse scene, which was 8 years ago. So Ben Affleck's Batman look a bit stupid afterwards with the suit on? It looked like his upper body was way too big and his lower body was way too small with the suit he's wearing. Yeah, sure. But I thought he was really fun. Also, this might be a bit controversial. I thought visually it was good. The CGI, yeah, sure, it's dodgy, but for a lot of, I felt the bright colors and everything. I felt like the suit, the lightning effects, I thought for the most part, obviously you can pinpoint some examples where kind of you could contradict my point, but I felt for the most part visually it worked. I thought the suit was okay. I thought the suit was better than it was in Justice League.
Oh no, I hate the suit.
I don't love the suit. I don't love the suit. It's the ears for me. The ears need to be more kind of pointed backwards. That's a nitpick.
I thought there'll be a whole section on CGI, but yeah, I'll will there be?
We'll get to that.
I save my reservations. I mean, because there's so many CGI snobs out there, like, oh, this is bad, and like, if it really disturbs you, you're gonna hate this movie straight away. If you're one of the CGI snobs and you get nitpick on every little thing, you're gonna hate the movie straight away. And I get that. I'm not going to be pissed about it, of course. But for me, yeah, as you said, it looked cool. The action sequences were nice. I mean, the only the cringy part for me were the babies, because I mean, obviously, they're not going to be real babies flying around and put in microwaves. For God's sake, which parent would allow that? But other than that, I did not cringe at the CGI much. Yeah.
Also, the soundtrack was really good as well. That's something to praise, I guess.
Yeah, the songs were good.
Maybe that's a bit of James Gunn influence. I don't know. I thought Andy Muschietti directed this really well. I think it was shot really well. The action, I thought that the pacing, for the most part, was pretty good. I actually did think Rod, the first half dragged a lot for me, so I disagree on that front, but I see where you're going. And I also thought that just the fact that this movie was very clear in terms of whether you kind of like the story or not, which we'll get to. The fact that this movie was very clear in terms of its objectives and because there's so much going on, the fact that you're never like, wait, pause, I have no idea what's going on in this movie. I feel like that's a testament to how kind of good, at least the story it was trying to tell, was told.
I to that credit, I took a friend with me Thursday who barely watches any DC movies, and he was able to keep up pretty well.
Yeah.
He wasn't asking me too many questions, so I concur on that statement.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes as well was the hand going down. It's very simple, but the shot itself is really cool, really badass.
Is he 100% CGI there? I think he is.
Is he? I can't tell.
I think he is.
Why would he be CGI? He's just putting his hand down.
It just looked gooey.
Well, back to General Zod. No, I'm just kidding. I did love me some General Zod. All right, guys. So, who stole the show?
Keaton. Michael Keaton easily.
I don't know. I don't think he was that good.
I think it was expected.
Whoa, Luke.
I don't think he's as good as some people are saying. Like he was just kind of there.
What?
That's how I feel about Zod. I thought Zod was kind of
there.
Zod was even more just there.
I loved Michael Keaton in this.
To my surprise, I mean, Keaton looked actually very good for his age. And it was kind of prophetic with the whole Birdman movie. I think it really plays into that as well. How you lean,
That's
oh,
true.
Batman, and then here he is back in again in his role. So if you think about it this way, it's different. But yeah, I think Keaton was the show stealer, even in the smallest things in the end where he's having these alternative conclusions. He's still acting like Batman despite the old age, and despite him being a different kind of Batman. He's not like the Christian Bale type. He's a different style, and he was proper heroic. Yeah.
I 100% would agree with Nikita. I liked how he was a different kind of Batman. He wasn't, like you said, a Christian Bale or a Ben Affleck. He gave off a different type of energy, which I thought gave this character kind of just a new take. Felt right, especially for a different universe like this. You're not getting Michael Keaton deviating from what Batman is and a lot of different other material, but kind of playing Batman how he wanted to play Batman and how he was kind of portrayed in the Tim Burton movies. So that I really like that.
I will say my favorite scene in this was when Michael Keaton is explaining time travel with everyday objects like spaghetti. I absolutely love that in movies when characters explain time travel or space travel with everyday objects. Like in Interstellar, you got the paper, you got the pen going through. Just I don't know. And the spaghetti thing was great.
My favorite, I think this was my favorite joke. Not a lot of the jokes hit for me, but the one was the Parmesan joke where he's like, "Oh, what does the Parmesan represent?" He's like, "No, it's just a garnish." which I really loved. I thought that was really, really funny, really clever. But yeah, let's move on now to cons. Ooh, dun dun dun. Who wants to start? Rod, you had a lot to say.
I have a lot to say about the Flash.
Where's my notebook? Yeah.
What was the point of this movie? Did Barry learn a lesson? I felt like Barry learned nothing at the end of the day. He did the exact same shit he did in the beginning of the movie that he wasn't supposed to do. Something as simple as looking up at the camera or putting the tomatoes in a different spot. I'm like, God, what the hell? I really wanted to go to the screen and punch him in the face. Like, you idiot, you did this again. Bat nipples. I don't know why he's back. That frustrated the hell out of me. That was frustrating. I don't know. Of all the cameos, that one annoyed me the most.
That one annoyed you the most.
Yes.
I disagree, Rod.
That one, I don't know why. Because I just have such PTSD from his Batman movie. But the Nick Cages of the world and Christopher Reeves, all that. Even though the CGI was wonky, it was bad.
That was not Christopher Reeves.
No,
we all know it wasn't Christopher Reeves. Obviously, yes, Alex. But yeah, just all the cameos, honestly, I kind of was just like, for what? It didn't really do anything for me. It didn't really add anything emotionally, honestly. And when Barry was in the Speed Force or whatever, or the Tumble Bowl, whatever it's called, and they're seeing all the different planets.
Oh yes,
the disco balls.
That's
what I thought they were.
Yeah. It took away something emotionally, because there was a really good emotional core there of
that's true.
other Barry trying to go back and save Keaton and then Supergirl. And when we kept going back to Nick Cage fighting a giant spider or another version of Flash, it kind of just took me out of the movie for a little bit. But yeah, I think my main frustration is just Barry not learning anything from the past 2 hours. It was just kind of, all right, here we go again. So
yeah. So, for me, first of all, the cameos, I like the George Clooney one. I disagree with Rod there. I thought it was really funny. I don't know the point of it, and we'll get to that. I'll get to that in my cons later, but I thought it was, and I didn't think it was going to end the movie. When it ended right there, I'm like, oh, fuck me. Why did I even watch this movie? There's no point of watching this movie, but I'll get to that, I guess, later. Okay, so the ones that pissed me off were the Cage one and the Reeve one, because it's like, when I saw reviews for this movie, I'm like, oh, they insert like references and Easter eggs, but it's very clever the way they do it. They integrate it into the movie, and I'm like, what? No, that's not what happens in this movie. They literally go out of their way to show you the cameos in the movie. It has nothing to do with the rest of the story. You didn't have to see that. If you don't show those cameos, it's the same movie. You're just showing them for the sake of showing them. The Christopher Reeve one, oh boy. Number one, why is Supergirl there? That movie is historically bad. Why is she? I'm looking at this. I'm like, why is she there? First of all, he wasn't even in her movie. Second of all, that movie, first of all, nobody's even nobody even watches it. Number two, it's historically bad. It's well regarded as terrible. Number 2, the Christopher Reeve. It was just very cringe. The Nicolas Cage fighting a spider, great. You know, for everyone who knows the Kevin Smith lore, amazing. That's cool, right? But why? And there's no reason why it should be there. It's just so random. It took me out of the movie. Like Rod said, even worse. The greatest sin is that it is in the middle of the peak emotional moment in this movie, with Barry confronting himself, like the other Barry going crazy, Dark Flash, all. It's in the peak of that. And you're showing this, and it's just so distracting, and it's takes away so much from the movie. And there are better ways to do it, or just not do it at all. And was it cool seeing? I have a picture of here of Nick Cage fighting a spider. Yeah, great.
Looks like Shrek there. Looks a little green.
The multiverse. Yeah.
Nikita.
Well, look, I'm kind of like to bridge what you guys were saying. So for me, yes, as I said in my review as well, I feel like in the end, what is the point of this film? Because I mean, clearly DC universe is ending, and I thought this movie will be proper Flashpoint, where they just reset and wipe everything clean.
Exactly.
But we have the blasted Aquaman there lined up, so without him, I think this would have been the cut off. So in that way, it's kind of at the end of the day, okay, what's the point of the movie? We got George Clooney. I mean, I understand it. They wiped out, they showed Wonder Woman gone, Ben Affleck gone, everyone gone. So it's only Ezra Miller and that god-awful post-credit scene, which was the worst one I've seen ever, with Aquaman. So clearly these two guys are staying, and now we have George Clooney Batman. I don't know, but it is what it is. And then in terms of the whole Easter Sunday of the cameos, personally, like I was not as infuriated by it as you. Like clearly, Alex, you have a bone to pick with Nicolas Cage and Supergirl movie. I haven't seen the Supergirl movie, of course, and but I wasn't as pissed at it. Yes, it came at the wrong moment, and I at the same time when I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, there is no antagonist in this movie. There is no one that Barry is fighting. They just took up Zod to just like show that literally you cannot do it without Superman. That's what I love. I didn't mention that, but it showed that no matter who you have, you cannot do it without Superman. You know, Superman is Superman. You cannot beat Zod. Just forget about it. And they kind of stopped doing it. And I thought, okay, this is the lesson Barry is going to learn, that he went back to the past. You cannot change things. You have your alternative self. You have to give up, you know, your ego, chasing, all that kind of stuff. And then at the end, boom, we have again in the courtroom, he just adjusts the smallest of things, and here we go. We have the nipple Batman with the credits. But these I would say the cons. And my personal con is that I wanted the Flash from the TV show to be in the movie, like to be there for at least like good 5-10 minutes, because everyone loves the guy, even though the show went off the rail a bit, but everyone liked the character. I mean, those I've seen, I think 4 seasons or so, then I stopped. And the actor was nice, and I wanted to see him, especially that since Flash, the Ezra was in the show. So at the same time, I thought they would do this vice versa. So yeah, I was disappointed that didn't happen.
Luke?
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered it well. With the cameos, like, you're right. They don't add anything. Like, cameos they're the new big thing in superhero movies, right? I think No Way Home is the big catalyst of that.
Spider-Verse did it great, and that was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So we look at No Way Home. They were like fully integrated into the plot. Okay. Look at Doctor Strange. Okay. They just killed them all immediately. Like that was funny. Okay. And now Spider-Verse, the cameos are the least interesting part of the film. That's just a credit to how good the rest of the film is. Sorry, Nikita. I know you can't see it for now. But I'm sure you
for a long while too.
I'm sure you will soon. But this one, it just doesn't add anything, and they make such a big deal of it. And I'm sitting there in the theater like, wait, isn't he dead? And then Nicolas Cage. It's not even Nicolas Cage. It's a CGI Nicolas Cage. Like, they couldn't get him, or use archival footage. Like, I saw a scene from Titans. I don't watch the show, but it's because it's crap. But there was a scene where Beast Boy like looks through the multiverse or whatever, and you see like Grant Gustin's Flash. You see something else.
Where is it? I haven't.
Yeah, I don't know. He looks like through like holes in the universe or whatever. But yeah, just use archival footage or don't make a big deal out of it at all. Yeah, so that's a big talking point. Of course, it's a con, but without that, I don't have any major cons, I guess.
Oh, wow.
Movie was good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
First of all, love the General Zod love, Chef. yes, they couldn't beat General Zod, which I loved. They couldn't beat him. Sorry, guys, they couldn't beat him. He's too good. That's what I loved about this movie. If they beat General Zod, I would have been mad, but they didn't beat him. They couldn't beat him. Even Supergirl couldn't beat him, which again is a testament to how important Superman is, which again, Superman is, coming up in the new DCEU, so that could be important later on. But yeah, the fact that they couldn't beat him was terrific. One of my big highlights from the movie was them promoting how good General Zod is, as Rod looks, and I don't know. Yeah,
He was just there.
He was just there.
He was just there. My name
He's like
is
shit
General
talking.
In
Zod.
order for our world to live, yours must die. All right.
He was much more threatening in Man of Steel. Granted, he had a
Of
lot more
course,
screen
of
time,
course.
but
He was
I mean,
literally the
in
main
this,
antagonist.
it was just kind of
Okay. But the story for me was where it kind of fell off. Number one, as much as I love General Zod, so they introduced that shit in the middle of the movie where it's like, oh, General Zod shows up on this world or whatever. And I think, okay, great, a nice side quest, a nice, Flash is able to, get his feet dirty, fight his first baddie, and then we'll get to like what the real kind of main focus of the movie is. But the fact that there's no real third act of this movie, it's almost an incomplete movie, which goes like the ending was so abrupt to me, which I was just the way the movie set up the big threat at the end and the emotional climax, it just didn't feel earned to me. It felt just missing of a lot of substance. Yeah. And the fact that they introduced General Zod in such a weird way, just so out of pocket, and then they make that whole plot line the climax of the movie, for me just felt very unearned and anticlimactic. And with Dark Flash, oh my god. So this cringe of when they were showing him being like, and like showing up like a fucking like the Babadook over here. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And then he shows up at the ending. I'm like, oh wow, you're the other Ezra Miller Flash. Shocker. Who saw this coming? I did. And it's like, why even like they're showing like little like it's a fucking horror movie. I'm like, this is so weird. It's tonally off. It's cringy. It's hilarious for all the wrong reasons. And just the way they built up that threat was so weird. And it just felt like such a weirdly kind of constructed story on that standpoint where things were just happening. There was no clear vocal point in terms of like it's almost like Back to the Future if Marty McFly did everything not to try to get back to the future. If almost he gets like distracted by everything in his way and he winds up just not getting back. That's what happens. And it's like, there's no main story to this movie. And then also the tomatoes. Okay. So it's like, maybe you guys can answer this question. Why didn't he just do that before? Go back in time and put the tomatoes back before.
Oh, the tomato can. I'm like, what tomatoes? I'm like, did I miss something?
Why didn't he put the tomatoes back before? Why did it take him so long?
What do you mean?
Yeah, like he could have gone back in time.
That wouldn't save his mom.
Well, yeah, but there was a previous scene in the Batcave where he kind of gave up on that, right? Where he was like, hey, I don't think we can. No, but he
put the tomatoes, and that's what caused the whole cataclysm.
No, but you go back in time to take the tomatoes out of the shopping cart, like earlier in the movie.
What?
I'm so confused.
Okay. At the end of the movie, he goes back in time to.
Don't let him cook.
Okay. At the end of the movie, he takes the tomatoes. He goes back in time to take the tomatoes out of the cart, right? Okay, why didn't he just do that earlier? Like, what do you mean? Like, before the big battle.
But then his mom dies.
Yeah, I know, but he had decided by that.
Yeah, I know, it's his mom dying. My God, like he wants to save his mom.
Okay, whatever. Also, number 2, why didn't when he go back in time, go further back in time before the battle takes place? Because then he can actually tell Supergirl and Batman, hey, we're not going to win this. I've been here 100 times. Let's come up with a new strategy and let's like recuperate. And let's find a different way. Why didn't he just do that? I mean, it doesn't mean they were going to win. He said he did this a million times or whatever. But there are ways to do it without getting Supergirl and Batman dead.
But you saw the iterations, what he did with the Supergirl. And like, no matter what he tries, it's just Zod just bashes them in every single time.
Why doesn't he get Wonder Woman and Batman?
Because they don't exist.
They don't exist in this universe, yeah.
Oh fuck! You're right. Okay.
Man, it's the tomatoes. Yeah, they.
God, it just felt okay, and also just felt anticlimactic, where you're in the middle of this kind of big emotional scene with the whatever the Dark Flash zombie like Last of Us looking thing was, and then all of a sudden all of it stops for him to go back in time and put the tomatoes in. in the shopping cart, and I'm laughing my ass off because I think it's so stupid.
No, I didn't laugh. I
You didn't
connected
laugh?
very
Oh,
well.
No.
damn it, Nikita! Wow, I thought you were gonna be on my side.
We're
This is
genuine human beings with hearts and emotions. Yes.
What? Whatever. I thought the tomatoes was stupid. Gotta be honest.
You go put the tomatoes back then in their old spot. If it
I don't forget the tomatoes. And the whole thing with his dad, he didn't turn his head up. It's just very good. Just what am I trying to say?
Lazy,
melodramatic, and lazy. Yeah,
Yes.
it
I
just
think
felt
it's
like
obvious.
too. It didn't feel real. It felt like it was written, which I shouldn't feel that in a movie where I feel like it's too much of a written kind of plot point.
It's obvious that this movie was not made by one person with one vision. It's just, as I said, it's a Frankenstein's monster. People just like chuck different things together. We're gonna have Zod, we're gonna have Supergirl, Keaton, Dustin Affleck, have the tomatoes, his dad camera, and it's just connected all, then shoot it with the lightning, and okay, let's go with this thing, because really, like, they have no, maybe they would have delayed it for one more year. If you never know if this DCU wasn't canceled. But now, okay, we're gonna have to release this bomb out there and counter losses, and with the faults. And if you start dissecting everything, and then you end up hating the movie big time. Yeah.
Rod, you said the other Flash didn't work for you.
Yeah, it was too hyper for me. It was just a little too much. Maybe because I saw the movie so late.
Is he too happy because he has both his parents in his life?
Is
that what you're saying?
No, it's just like he was just annoying, Luke. I don't know. The jokes weren't working. The energy he was giving off, I was like, ugh. I don't, it wasn't working for me. But then there was like this point when he overhears that conversation that Arbery and Keaton have about what happens to his parents, and that kind of turn. He gets a little bit more serious. That's when I started getting on board with him. Everything before that, I was like, dude, shut up. You were just constantly getting on my damn nerves. I wish someone had cut that duct tape on you so you just stay quiet for the rest of the movie. Because honestly, guys, it was a lot. It's too much.
But I think that was okay. Go ahead.
I was gonna say just quickly. I was gonna say I didn't hate. I thought the performance was good. I just think if the more of the jokes are written better, almost. So
maybe that's what it is, Alex. I don't know.
That's what it is.
They gave him a lot of the jokes, and the jokes weren't working for me.
I think that was for me. I think that was the whole point of him being so annoying. I mean, first of all, he's an 18-year-old kid who just lives a carefree life. His mom does his laundry, all that stuff. And I think the point was for our Barry to see him, and he even said that, understand why everyone is like finds me obnoxious because I keep acting this way. And I think he was the teaching moment for our more mature Barry. So from that point, I see him, and as well, he's a young kid. And Flash has always been like a jittery guy because, and that fits with his personality. When he becomes super fast, he even like accelerates that jitterness, running around, dropping naked in the floor, all that stuff. Yeah.
Nikita, those were wise words. I still don't like him though. Well, very well said. Very well said.
I thought two of my least favorite characters were his roommates / crime associates. They reminded me of the two scientists from Batman and Robin. Do you remember
wasn't that bad? Well, I mean,
they were just there. And what you think of Zod, I think of these people. And when they first show up in the movie, it's like they look like they're out of like Glee. It's so weird. And I couldn't get on board with it. But that's just they're not in the movie that much. But then they show up as the roommates. That scene was pretty funny though. So I don't know.
I saw a great tweet that said like when they said the Top Gun joke, Tom Cruise started laughing so hard he forgot to watch the rest of the movie. And that's why he was so positive on it.
That was it was what Michael J. Fox was in Footloose.
Yeah,
Kevin Bacon was in Top Gun. Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, and one more thing, the whole Iris West thing was just.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was useless completely. Why even? That was a waste of time.
Was so
Why even
weird.
So
it was so bad.
The because I did watch the CW Flash. The Candace Patton plays Iris, and that show is a whole lot better than what we've got Candace and Zack Snyder's Justice League in this. I mean, it was just I don't even know why you have to have her in this movie. Honestly.
It was so cringe. It was just not. It was not. It's first of all, why do you find him attractive? That's number one. Number two,
she was stalking him too. Like, what are you doing?
Have you seen
it was
his hair?
weird.
Yeah.
It was just weird. It was not like romantically like haha, this is fun. This is like a screwball comedy. It's more like this is weird. Please leave. Just go back in time already. Yeah, sorry, Nikita, go ahead.
No, but that's the thing. For example, like you were angry with the cameos. I would wipe this out completely. Save us like 15 minutes of view time. Pop in a new action sequence. Maybe show a new extended Nicolas Cage fighting Spider scene.
I don't think Iris West is ever gonna work. She's just a lesser Lois Lane. It's. I don't think it's gonna work. I think they should give up. They tried it in Zack Snyder's. It didn't work there either, but whatever. As we move on now, what this means for the future. Actually, no, we didn't talk about one last thing. The post-credit scene.
Terrible.
Awful. Post-credit scene.
Awful.
Yeah.
Just awful.
It's not the worst. If Morbius didn't exist, it would be.
That's true.
I think it has something to do with Spider-Man. That's the only scene I've seen from the movie. I haven't seen the rest of it.
No, but this one, I mean,
maybe we should make a team of our own.
This is your last DC movie. You know, you're trying to end with a bang or whatever, and then you put this bullshit in there. Like, what is okay? You're showing that these two guys exist. Very nice, but do something sensible.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You know what makes it even worse? I mean, to sit through all those damn credits just to get to that. If it
Dude,
wasn't,
there's
if it was
so
like
many.
before,
The credits were so long.
I will say,
the VFX artists I paid extra attention to. It felt like 75% of the name were VFX artists.
Sometimes I look at the credits just out of curiosity. It came up the list of songs used in the movie, like Barbie Girl for whatever reason. Is that like promoting the Barbie movie very slowly?
That's how long the credits were. I started reading them, and I never read the credits.
And then I saw "I'm a Sailor" performed by Jason Momoa. I'm like, oh, wow, what a drunk Momoa singing. It's like a sailor song. Like, oh, that was apparently the worst credit scene ever, according to Nikita. But,
it was so bad. It was just so.
Well, I can't remember a credit scene I hated so much. I felt like, what the hell am I wasting my time here? You know. Yeah.
I felt like something was gonna happen, and then it just ended. Like I remember my crowd was just like with me. We were all like, oh. Mm-hmm. And then he gives him the ring. It's just like.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, okay, great.
Go sell to Josh Clooney. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And it's almost like the post-credit scene leans on the fact, and it's like it leans on the fact that the audience cares about Aquaman that much, and it's like I don't think anybody cares about Aquaman that much to see him. Like maybe if it's Henry Cavill Superman, people are gonna go whoa, but if it's Aquaman, it's like all right. Yeah. We just saw him We just saw him in 3 weeks ago in Fast X.
Yeah, like
seeing him again doesn't do much.
Other with Aquaman, yeah, like it's Shazam. Like I didn't care about Aquaman. I mean, Aquaman one was like nice, but then I'm not gonna watch this one, especially since it's gonna have no consequence. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch the honest trailer or something.
Yeah. All right, guys, what does this mean for the future of the DCEU? Which Rod and I talked about a bit. The fact that I don't think this movie does anything for the DCEU, which was really disappointing for me because I thought this was, like Nikita said, it's going to be Flashpoint. It's going to reset everything. It's going to leave everything on almost like a Thanos snap type cliffhanger. And it just ends, and I'm like, why leave on a cliffhanger if we all know it's not going to answer said cliffhanger? And everything that comes after it is not going to address it. The Superman's not going to address it. Blue Beetle's not going to address it. All the 50,000 Suicide Squad wannabes aren't gonna answer it. So it was just very weird to me that they ended on that note.
Unless Aquaman begins with him waking up in that puddle. Now that would be something. I tell you. Yeah, this would have been like a genius move, but that's not going to happen. Simple as that. Begin the movie with him in the puddle. Yeah,
dude, I totally forgot Aquaman was coming out. That's crazy. Yeah, I totally forgot.
And the streets are saying that it's like absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
so
that's what.
really
Yeah, I've heard that. Fun.
Yeah, this is. I mean, this does nothing except for. I mean, it wipes away Ben Affleck's Batman, and it wipes away Henry Cavill Superman. I guess. I don't know. Other than that, it doesn't really do anything for the future. 'Cause I think Blue Beetle's really like the start of the reboot for the DCU anyway. So
Who cares about Blue Beetle? My God, Jesus Christ!
Seeing the
Thank you.
trailer,
Thank
the
you,
trailer
Nicola.
is engraved in my head. I see it every week.
Oh, it's so
Mhm.
bad. So
No, I enjoyed the trailer, but there's a limit to seeing the
no,
same
it's
thing over
not.
and over
Don't.
again.
No, it's terrible. But okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that trailer either. It's
It's better
Yeah.
than the Gran Turismo trailer. I hate that even more.
okay.
I'm
That,
looking
that
forward
trailer, I'm,
to-
ti-
I'm
I'm
looking
tired of seeing
forward
it
to
either.
it, but
He
I'm tired of
vomited
it.
in the man's in the grass. Okay, that was hilarious.
Oh, no. But
yeah.
yeah, James Gunn was like saying like, "Oh yeah, the Flash completely resets the universe," and like
Yeah,
like did
he said
it?
nothing.
Did it? Like we
Yeah.
don't see anything from it, and he's saying that Blue Beetle is the first DCU character, but Superman is the first DCU movie. So I guess Blue Beetle's gonna show up, but this one isn't like part of it. It's just all very weird.
And Blue
The
Beetle will
power
lead
of
the Justice
DCU is
League.
about to change,
Yeah.
Luke. It's about to change.
Yeah. It's about them Beatles.
Maybe Blue Beetle's gonna wake up in the puddle. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're here too."
When
Yeah.
he was in the puddle, I thought he was gonna like breathe underwater almost. That's how like weirded out I was by the post-credit scene. Every little thing I was like, oh, this is definitely gonna be something that they can use in the future. I don't know.
I hope at Comic-Con, if they're doing a panel at Comic-Con, James Gunn like explains what exactly is going to be going on with DC. I know he did like a 6-minute video of announcing all these titles and everything, but like there's still no clear direction.
They might use
Like
this.
this Aquaman is that part of the new DCU? What's Blue Beetle's role? It's just I don't know. DC is just such a mess. Other than Matt Reeves' Batman, Joker, I don't really care about this shared universe.
Oh yeah, I agree. The Batman and the Joker are my two,
Yeah.
and that's good for me because as like Batman's my favorite superhero of all time. So the fact that they still have that in their back pocket is great for me. And that's great for you guys too if you're Batman fans. I assume you are.
I mean, Batman will always be popular.
Yeah.
No matter how you put it, you cannot
Yep.
make a shitty
and
Batman movie.
you didn't screw Batman up in this movie, so I guess
No,
that's
they
one
did
thing.
not.
So that's that they only
He
had-
can in the next one because he's directing it.
That's true.
And Andy Muschietti.
Well, imagine if the Batgirl came out, maybe they could have ruined it because apparently it was that bad, folks. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys, for our spoiler talk on The Flash. We talked about a lot in this movie. Some stuff we probably left out, such as the room full of, I don't know, what is it? When it kept going back to that Speed Force realm of obviously CGI versions of people. I found that hilarious.
The funniest thing for me was when they're calling Aquaman's dad and they're asking him,
That
"Is
was
your
so-
wife
yes,
the queen
yes,
of
yes,
Atlantis?"
yes.
Man, I
was
just sat and laughed there for
That
like a
was
minute.
good. I laughed.
Yeah. And then they, yeah.
That was really funny. That I agree. That was better. Tamora Morrison, better than anything he did in the Book of Boba Fett. That was so funny.
Hey, that show wasn't his fault. That was not his
it was
fault.
not. It was
No.
not his. And then Wonder Woman shows up in this movie, and I was like, oh, great. Yeah.
Well,
She
I like
shows
her
up in
better in
every
this
DC
than
movie.
Shazam. I mean, her
Yeah.
appearance in Shazam is really just awful. So at least here she did
Oh
something.
my God.
something.
When she shows up in Shazam and she just revives him. Oh.
So random.
And then they play the music saying na 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 na, and then she.
I don't think that's a
But
deep
he's like-
song.
That was terrible.
I didn't do it right.
No, it's like one of the greatest superhero themes ever, and you just
Yes.
butchered it.
I think I did it all right.
Well,
Well,
that's better.
okay, thank
Make
you.
that my ringtone now.
Damn it, the GIF will be made. All right, guys, that will actually end our Flash spoiler discussion. Before we go, Luke, where can everyone find you and your fabulous reviews?
You can find me relaxing at the beach, enjoying the end of my semester at last. Yeah, or on here, hosting matches every now and then.
Where can we find you at the beach, though? Like which specific beach?
On the sand, usually. I do go in the
Yeah,
water
beaches in Latvia.
sometimes.
He doesn't
Yeah.
go in the. He sometimes goes in the water.
Yeah.
All right, Rod.
You can find me at the Cinema Gallery, and you can find me at the Infinity Film Podcast. My buddy Ben just put up an X-Men episode the other day going through that entire franchise, which was a lot of fun, but It's a long episode, but it was a lot of fun. So I hope you guys listen to it.
Check that out, guys. And Nikita.
You can find me at Movies Without Schmovies on Instagram. I think I recapped my whole review here, but yeah, you can read it there. Yeah.
For sure, guys. And you can find us all at I keep saying the link, at TLC_productions_. And make sure to find me on Letterboxd at Alex Homer, where you can see my same exact review that I posted on Instagram. So make sure you follow us on Instagram and follow me on Letterboxd. League of Cinephiles on TikTok. And yeah, we'll catch you all soon, guys, with another spoiler talk whenever the next big movie comes out. I can't think of it. Indiana Jones, perhaps. We'll see how that goes.
It's impossible.
Guys.
Barbie.
All right, guys. Ciao.
Blue Beetle.